Hey, so let's talk about why we all can't get along. Been watching the news recently, and as a lot of my videos get started, it's by observing people and seeing what's going on in the world around us. And I've been thinking about this concept for a little while now, and after seeing some things that happened in the country this week, I felt like it was time to go ahead and make the video. So, what I really want to talk about and why I think people can't get along is everybody can't seem to quit talking about what makes them different. And then nobody can figure out why they can't find a place to fit or why there's so much divisiveness. And it's really, in my mind, it's not that complicated. I mean, so many people now are leading with what makes them different, which is, it's good to be different. We all have our own identity, and that's important. But at the same time, so many people are leading now with something divisive, and they know it's divisive. And then everybody's surprised when it ends up, like we saw this week, in a fight and bloodshed in Oregon because of people who have different political differences, and that's how their meeting starts. So they never at any point try to find common ground. They wear a badge or they hold a sign that right on the face of it says, "This is what makes me different than you," and this immediately is going to cause a confrontation. Just is. And for some reason, people now think the difference, and political leaders are saying this, and community leaders are saying the same thing, that the key to solving our differences, whether it be something like race, or it's something like sexual preference, or politics, whatever it might be, that the key is to talk about it. That cannot be right. If all you talk to people about is what makes you different, you are never going to agree. It makes absolutely no sense, and it seems so obvious to me that if all we do is constantly discuss what makes us different, we're never going to get along. So why can't we discuss things we have in common and build some common ground and gain trust in one another and get a little bit of a rapport, and then say, okay, now maybe we can broach these subjects that are a little more uncomfortable, but you understand where I'm coming from now, and I understand where you're coming from, and we see that the other one's not a bad person. We just might have a difference of opinion. So now let's get into those different opinions. So this is the way I think about it. I went to Auburn University, and for some of you that know, we have a pretty intense rivalry with another school in the state, Alabama. So, huge rivalry. Now, there are a lot of people. I grew up in Alabama and spent some time in Georgia, and there's a lot of people that if I wore an Auburn shirt that might yell something at me, even if they didn't know me. Their initial reaction might be to be aggressive towards me or whatever it may be, or just to avoid me because they think, oh, well, I know what that type of person's like. I'm not going to be around it. Well, that's because that's all they knew about me was this, in their mind, divisive idea that, oh, well, they're different than me. They like something I don't. Well, I've also been in situations where I've met people, maybe, you meet somebody at a bar, you meet wherever, out in public, and you have a conversation with somebody. And, you find out that you have some things in common. You like the same kind of music. You used to play the same sports. You're maybe in the same field because you meet them at work, whatever it is. And then as it comes down to it, 30 minutes into the conversation, something like that, you go, hey, where'd you go to school? Oh, I went to Auburn. They went to Alabama. Well, I say now it's okay. It's not always okay. There's still going to be people that are pretty diehard, but that's typically not the case. Typically, what will happen is people are going to go, well, you know what? I'm not going to say this out loud, but it's kind of the thought process. We've built this common ground. We do have things in common. I like you. We get along. I think you're a good person. Now, this thing that might have been off-putting to me, now that I hear it, if I had heard it not knowing any of your story, I might have avoided you. Might have even been aggressive towards you. But that would not have been something had you led with that. It wasn't going to be something that was going to bond us together, and it was not going to lead to a productive conversation, friendly conversation, whatever it is. So if you extrapolate that out into the rest of the world and what you're doing, like I said, whether it be politics, something culturally, even if we get into talking about race, there are so many things that people have in common because everybody is very diverse. We're made up of a lot of different characteristics. So how silly is it to pick out the one or two that makes us different? Doesn't make any sense. Find common ground. And if you if you need to discuss those things or they come up in conversation, if you've built this common ground, now you have an understanding, you have a rapport, and you can have this conversation in a more positive manner. But if all we do is talk about differences, the gap between us is just going to grow and grow and grow. I don't think that's the goal. Maybe for some people it is. I think there probably are some people, and I know some people personally, that definitely say things to immediately be divisive or to be shocking or to push people away. And I think a lot of those people do it so they can then play the victim and say, oh, well, they've rejected me because of this thing. Who does that help? It doesn't help them. And, it might not affect the other person, but they'll never build that relationship. So if we keep creating this divide where now we're only getting into these groups where, it's people that are exactly like we are in that one category. I only talk to people that are Auburn fans. Well, how many people am I going to exclude? It's a massive amount of people. And what if someday I have a question about a different college? Who am I going to ask? Well, there's not going to be any resources because all of my friends went to Auburn. The only people I will talk to went to Auburn. They went to my school. I don't associate with anybody that does anything else. Well, how am I going to learn about anything else then? If I've constantly excluded people that are different than me, I'm just going to create this bubble where it's me and my small circle, and it's just going to be an echo chamber. We're not going to learn anything from other people. That's no good. That type of diversity, in my mind, is the important type of diversity. It's a diversity of thought, and a diversity of personalities, of characteristics. That's how you really learn about the world around you. Not just people that look different, different political party, whatever it is. There is important diversity out there, and if you only lead all the time with what makes you different, then you'll only associate with those people and you exclude everybody else that doesn't meet those characteristics. You'll put yourself in this bubble, and you're not going to learn about the world around you. And I think you are going to end up being pretty perpetually unhappy because all the time you're going to live in this negative space of, well, I'm so different than everyone else. And for a little bit that might seem like unique and the cool thing to do now, and I know that's a popular way to be, is, oh, well, I'm so different. Okay, well, yeah, everybody's different. Like I said, we're all made up of a lot of different things. So it really shouldn't be necessary to go around and constantly say, well, I'm different than you because of these things. You probably have a lot of things in common with other people that you aren't even getting to those topics because this is what you're leading with. And so, like I said, when you want to learn about those other things, when you mature past this point of, well, all I want is to be different, and I only associate with these people, because at some point it will get old. If you've totally painted yourself in this corner, or you've made your name for yourself as, this person that is very confrontational about this one topic or whatever it may be, it's going to be hard for you. And that would be a real shame. Because I think everybody has something to offer. And even if it's on the face of it, if it's somebody that's so totally different that you think, man, there's no way that we can find something in common, that person is better at something than you are, or they know something better than you do, They have a skill you don't have. I guarantee you there's something there. Every single person in the world, no matter what you think, has something to offer. So if you're cutting off massive groups of people, you're missing out on a lot of things to offer. And in the same sense, you have something to offer the world too. So if you are separating yourself from these massive groups of people, it's a disservice to the world around you, because there's something that you can bring value to. And so if you paint yourself in this corner, you create this little bubble, then you're not able to share that with other people. And that's, like I said, that's really a shame. So I think maybe a good way to sort of put this into practice and think about it, if you're in the habit of always leading with this differentiating factor, and that's how you identify yourself. You identify yourself as this party, this group, this characteristic, whatever, and that's how you see yourself. For one, it's extremely self-limiting because you're made up of a lot of different things and you're a complex person. Even though I haven't met you, I can guarantee you that's true. So don't limit yourself to that. If you're doing that, maybe take a chance this week and branch out a little bit. Find somebody that you typically think you might not get along with, somebody you have a prejudice about, and try to have, maybe exaggerate this sense of avoiding this topic that you think will, divide you. If it comes up, say, hey, can we not? Let's try to move past this and find some common ground. I'm working on this exercise this week. I'm trying to make myself better so I can grow my network. I can meet more people. I can branch out in my relationships, and I can mature as a human being. So maybe try that this week and see what happens if you leave some of those things out of the conversation, at least initially. First 30 minutes, whatever. You are not going to talk about this one thing that is typically your go-to that you've identified as for so long. We're going to avoid that. We're going to find this common ground with somebody and see if maybe some of those prejudices were a little bit off base. So I appreciate you listening to me. I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment. If you try this out and it works for you and you learn something from it, please share your experience. I think those kind of experiences are helpful to other people. And maybe seek somebody out that you don't have to tell us that you had the prejudice, but we all have some. So maybe seek somebody out that would fit into that category of this prejudice, and see if you can find some common ground and figure out what those, what that kind of conversation can do for you. So once again, appreciate your time. As always, do the right thing.